In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast. We are the brave and the bold. The Abracast. Occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
Welcome to the Abracast. I'm your host, John Towers. I thought we would just take a pause here for this episode and talk about a little bit more practical of an issue or issues than we normally do or have been doing. So we're going to be just talking about one article this evening that was published by Zero Hedge. We've actually included articles from Zero Hedge before. I can't remember when or why, but I remember the byline. Byline, Tyler Durden. I have been vocal with you guys about my preparedness and my quest for preparedness and where it started, right? So, you know what's wild? Just do this little thought exercise with me is like close your eyes and just think back to 2019. Think about what the world was like in 2019 and then look around right now. Look around you right now. Shit's changed. Our world has changed. Our have changed, and I believe someone is just stepping on the gas pedal. Like it's coming. And so a lot of I joke and say like I was a proto prepper, but I was not serious about it at all. This is something that COVID taught me. I learned a harsh lesson from not COVID. I learned a harsh lesson from our government's reaction to COVID. Let's get that straight. And the people in my community taught me a lesson during those dark times. And I vowed, I'm responsible. I have a wife that I take care of, So I kind of made a deal with myself like, hey bro, never again. This is never going to happen again. You're never going to get caught with your pants down again. You're never going to run out of booze again. So I really started taking this shit, seriously. I would say very seriously at this point. We're back in our mind. We've time traveled, back to 2019. And we've seen the fucking glory days compared to, what's going on in our world right now. And, not only am I more, like physically prepared, not only do I'm responsible and I take care of my wife and we have a couple cats and we have a little house, here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But, I have been pretty open in the past that my wife has some mental health issues. So that adds like another dimension, to, my situation. So anyhow, I'm saying all of that just to say that we're going to go through this article and we're going to talk about what Zero Hedge says, 50 things that everyone should be stockpiling to prepare for election chaos. I do have my little vape, and I do have my vessel of the art filled to the brim with my gin jihad. So we're going to get going. We're going to get rolling on this. Oh God. ZeroHedge.com. 50 Things That Everyone Should Be Stockpiling to Prepare for Election Chaos by Tyler Durden. This is actually authored by a guy named Michael Snyder via the Economic Collapse blog. And so while we're going through this, let's not think of this in terms of, or let's not just think of this in terms of election chaos, right? We can also think about this in terms of what's actually going on. I believe we're in the middle of a slow collapse right now. Manufactured. I believe we're in a manufactured slow collapse. So, what's a slow collapse? It's like, Mad Max. I don't know. I don't watch the new Mad Max movies. But the old ones, like in the first one, everyone thinks there was a nuclear war, right? And I don't know if they've changed that. I don't know. But like the first Mad Max movie, there wasn't a nuclear war. What had happened is there was this slow collapse. Shit stopped working. And next thing you know, have a fucking sweet car and some guns and you're driving through the wasteland. So, this idea of this engineered slow collapse, like, these items that we're going to be talking about, these things that we're going to be talking about, they're just good to have. Kind of what I was going to say when I was talking about, kind of like my preparedness journey after the COVID lockdowns is, when you are prepared and you have stuff like set aside to help you, it's an amazing feeling. Like, hey man, I got my shit together. So this case in point, we didn't have a slow collapse, but what had happened is my wife was unemployed for a really long time. This was about 2 years ago. You could probably I don't think I talked much about it. Anyhow, and if we didn't have a freezer full of food and like this stuff set aside, we would have been in enormous trouble. So, this isn't just about election chaos. It's just good. Responsible adults in this day and age should be worried about this. They should be very fucking concerned. All right. Are you getting prepared? Right now, millions of Americans are stockpiling food and supplies in anticipation of what they believe is coming. People are on the edge due to approaching election, the rapidly escalating war in the Middle East. I don't know why he omitted the billions of dollars we're sending to Ukraine. Seems to be a problem to me as well. The alarming natural disasters we've been witnessing all around the world, and the potential for another global pandemic. In all my years, I have never seen more concern about the next 12 months as I'm seeing at this moment. There's a growing consensus that major history-changing events are about to happen, and there are lots and lots of people that want to be well prepared. In fact, Newsweek has reported that, quote, doomsday prepping, unquote, has become a $2.46 billion industry. The once fringe act of doomsday prepping evolved into a booming $2.46 billion industry, tapping into the societal pulse of self-reliance amid amidst a world of uncertainties. Whether driven by the aftershock of a post-COVID-19 environment, supply chain disruptions, natural calamities, or geopolitical tensions, the narrative of disaster preparedness is shifting from the outskirts of society to mainstream household. When I was growing up, I never once heard the words prepper or prepping. I think that I became aware of preppers maybe when the first Tremors movie came out. And I was like, why is Michael Keaton's dad have a room full of shotguns? Maybe I'm just showing my age. But now a very large portion of the population is actively preparing for the collapse of society. According to the numbers that come from FEMA, approximately 20 million Americans have prepared well enough to be able to be on their own for at least a month. Amateurs. According to analysis of Federal Emergency Management Agency data, some 20 million Americans can withstand a full month of self-reliance. Within that number, there are those who identify as part of the preppers community online, which include enthusiasts stocking up on years' worth of supplies or building bunkers. Of course, being prepared to survive for 1 month is not going to be nearly good enough to survive what is eventually coming, but at least it is something. These days, even Costco is marketing to preppers. Amidst Costco's already stocked shelves of oversized jars of peanut butter and 12 packs of macaroni and cheeses, there is a hardcore new addition that is lighting up social media: the ReadyWise 150 serving emergency food bucket for $100. These buckets include 80 dinners, 30 breakfasts, and 40 energy drinks with a shelf life of, prepare yourself for this, 25 long years. In a world where unpredictability has become constant, reads the description, our assortment takes on a vital role in emergency preparedness. Imagine the sudden onset of severe weather, the challenges of unexpected job transitions, or the unsettling thought of food shortages. In addition to selling emergency food buckets, Costco has also become a huge seller of gold and silver bars and coins. The Wholesale Club is also a huge seller of gold and silver bars, coins, which are extremely popular among those who are concerned about breakdown of the financial system. A 1-ounce silver coin is currently worth about $30. Needless to say, it isn't just Costco that has embraced this trend. These days, many local supermarkets carry emergency food right on their store shelves. And I think this is a great thing. But for what we are eventually going to be going through, you're going to need a whole hell of a lot more than just food. If you really want to be prepared, you should consider everything that you will need if there is no power and you can no longer get anything from the store because supply chains have completely broken down. I have shared a list of 50 basic things that I think everyone should be stockpiling in a couple of my books. Not my books. This is the author of the article. And today I would like to share that list with all of you. So we're going to go through this list and we'll try to expound on it. Number 1, a conventional generator and a solar generator. So conventional generator and a solar generator are all good things. I would just mention there are at least 2 different kinds of generators besides the solar generator, and that's a gas generator, which I have a gas generator, and a propane generator, which I have a propane generator. I actually have a gas generator, and I have a dual fuel that only gets propane put into it. I'm not mechanically inclined, so I can't take apart and degum like the carburetor. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. So I have a generator for gas, and then a generator that just uses the propane, and then also I have some solar panels and a couple power packs. I guess they count as solar generators. So the other thing that we're going to be maybe talking about now that I'm babbling about this is lines of redundancy. So, when I first started, I started with the solar panels and the little handheld Westinghouse battery packs. And then I graduated to my gas generator, which is slightly cheaper than my dual fuel generator. So over time, you just bloop, 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 just upscale it. And then you still have everything. Like, I didn't get rid of my gas generator, because I have a far superior. Now I just have multiplied, my ability. I don't know if this is in here or not, but if you're talking about generators, you also have to talk about fuel. As a matter of fact, we're going to wind up having to talk about fuel anyway. It's like the big thing. Gasoline is great, but, unless you treat it, it loses its combustibility pretty quickly. And even if you do treat it, it only extends its life to like a year. So like all my gas can OPSEC is going to go right out the window. All of my stockpile of gasoline has duct tape dates on them, so I know when to cycle them out and when to use them and all of that stuff. And then also with that, I have mini propane bottles for my propane heaters and propane stoves. Along with the fuel, I also have, a box of fucking sterno somewhere and like a little sterno stove. I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. What am I talking about? Talking about fuel. So with the dual fuel generator, like I just have those giant fucking things of propane like in with my fuel storage kind of area. A Berkey water filter. Berkeys are pretty expensive. There's other ways around it. That's another thing that we're probably going to discuss is like I'm not a Gucci guy. My budget is pretty limited. So I have all kinds of water filters. Actually, I just got a gravity filter the other day. So we have gravity filters. We have Life Straws. We have Sawyers. We have like this, it looks kind of like a plastic kind of gin still looking thing. I haven't used it. It's got a couple more moving parts that I'm comfortable with, but it's in my water box. I have a whole box just full of like water stuff. And I have zero water. I have zero water filters and a zero water thing in there. So, you want to be able to, filter water in numerous ways. We also have, I have long-term water storage. So I have like big stackable blocks of water. Also a bathtub, water bladder, rain catchment systems, which is number 3, a rainwater collection system if you don't have a natural supply of water near you. So I mentioned already that I live in Pittsburgh, which is very hilly. It's a very mountainous kind of area. And I live on the top of a hill. I live on the top of a mountain. So I don't have natural water near me. However, this year I did experiment and play around with water catchment systems, which worked swimmingly, pun intended. I actually collected so much water I couldn't even use it all for my for my gardens. So that worked out very well. I have kind of retired them for the year already. I got the power washer out and power washed them and patched them up. I weed whacked a hole in one of them. I patched them up and I got them, put away till I need them, right? But the gutters are gimmicked already, so all I got to do is just flap the thing down and voila, I'm gonna have water. So something it's more important than food, 100%. You're going to start looking for water before you start looking for food. You're going to die of dehydration before you die of starvation. That's for sure. Number 4, a large emergency medical kit. So I think that I might have gone a little out of control with with my medical situation. When I got out of the Army, I was a combat lifesaver. It's one of the little schools that I did. Basically, it's like extended first aid training, and then they teach you how to use IVs. And I have mentioned this in the show before because I remember lamenting about how I can't find IVs or like the needles system that you need to poke a hole in someone with. I think I was going to try to get them off of a veterinary website at one point in time. I don't know. Anyhow, so I stole my combat lifesaver bag. It's this enormous pack. It folds up. It's got 3 folds. It's got all these pockets, and I have the thing stocked, filled to the brim. I have splints and Israeli bandages and bleed stop and gauze and everything. So it's like, it's not a boo-boo kit, right? And it's more built out than a blowout kit. I do have blowout kits for all my tactical stuff, my war box and whatever. But anyhow, this combat lifesaver bag has got like a ton of stuff. And I went and I got first aid for soldiers that just stays in that bag. And that is just stashed. And then in my bigger kind of storage capacity areas, I have a bucket with a big red cross on it. When you open that bucket, you'll find a secondary first aid kit, like basic just trauma first aid stuff. There's a do-it-yourself, like dental, for real, like stainless steel dental kit in there. I also have a surgical kit in there. I have a clinical kind of bag. It's got like a manual blood pressure pump, a stethoscope, trauma shears, that sort of stuff. I think that there's a battery operated blood pressure pump in there too, maybe. And then I have a book that talks about clinical, I don't know, procedure. Like it explains, boiling, like, obviously I don't have an autoclave. So, I have tons of medical stuff. I have my eyes on a stapler and a suture stapler and a staple remover. I have my eyes on it. It's going to happen probably sooner rather than later. Oh gosh, hold on. We got to do one of these. So we'll finish up. We'll continue to tackle this list right after this message from our sponsors. So, welcome back. Thank you for putting up with those ads they make me put in. Where are we at? Large medical kit. Yeah. Number 5 is rice. Number 6 is pasta. Those are all good. They will, if you Mylar bag them with oxygen absorbers, they will last theoretically forever. At least 25 years, I heard. That's what I heard. Canned soup, canned vegetables, canned fruit, canned chicken, jars of peanut butter. If you're aiming for long-term food storage, the jars of peanut butter is not a good idea, but you can rotate them. If you have a rotating pantry, you can rotate them through. High in calorie. Like when you start looking at this stuff, or if you were already prepping, like all these people in this article are already prepping, I would just suggest you to look at the calorie count, especially the canned vegetables. Sometimes it's not worth the storage real estate that you're giving up to have them. Specifically, like like green beans or something like that, like very low in calorie counts. Jars of peanut butter, however, are very high in calorie counts. So, you might want to just look at that stuff. And then also, we'll talk about like spam. They say canned chicken, but there's like canned spam is, if you go for the luncheon meat, like the off-brand at like Aldi or Walmart or something like that, high calorie count, and it's not nearly as expensive as like the name brand spam is. So you want to pay attention to that. Salt. We need salt. We need a lot of salt. I have a lot of salt. I have tons of obscenely amount of salt. Sugar's different. I do have sugar in long-term storage, and if you're Mylar bagging these things, don't put an oxygen absorber in your sugar. It'll be just fine. And also, any kind of pasta and rice that you have, just throw it in your deep freezer for like a day and a half, 2 days, something like that. That's just to make sure if there's any bugs in there or any kind of parasites or whatever, like that will take care of them. And then like redundancy, also oxygen absorber will also do that job. Sugar is in rotation because my wife drinks a lot of tea. Powdered milk, I skipped that one, even though powdered milk is also very high in calories. Should probably get some, I don't have bags of flour. Again, flour, Mylar bag, oxygen absorber, throw them in the deep freezer for a day or two. Same deal. But I build my own long-term food storage buckets. Theoretically, they will last me and my wife like a week. So I have them numbered. I have inventories, and then I have like a little recipe book of like stuff that you can do with the things that are in the buckets. And I always make sure I have stuff to make like a loaf of bread in there, because bread is like the yardstick of civilization. It's like bread and soap, right? Like, so if you don't know how to make your own, bread, you should probably try to sort that out. Speaking of bread, they want you to keep yeast on hand. Yeast is another one of those. Yeast, I think, has a shorter shelf life. If I use yeast that's been sitting around for a while, I don't get nearly a big enough kind of like expansion of the bread that I'm making. And so what I wind up doing is I make bread like every week. I make a loaf of bread like every week or every other week, so I can keep my yeast rotating through. Lots of extra coffee if you drink it. I would say lots of extra coffee, period. Coffee is one of those things that's going to be a morale booster. And if not, it's going to be a barter item. People are going to break their necks for some coffee. People try to break your neck for some coffee. Buckets of long-term storable food. So again, I make my own long-term storable food buckets. However, I do have commercial versions of them as well, because it's this idea of redundancy, right? It's what's in the fridge, what's in the pantry, then it's what's in the deep freezer, then it's what's in, my canned food items, then it's the commercial food storage buckets, and then last line of defense are the ones that I build, myself. So, you want to have those tiers of redundancy. Lots of extra vitamins, check. Lighters or matches, I would say lighters and matches. Candles, check, that one's easy. Flashlights or lanterns, everyone should have flashlights and lanterns. I have flashlights up to my armpits in this. Headlamps, lanterns, I have them packaged up in like these little kits, so I can just run downstairs and grab them if we need them. I have some, I don't want to say staged through the house, but I have some in a drawer in the living room. I got some in the drawer in the kitchen. I have a whole lighter kit with fire starters, and I got fat wood in there now. And I did this thing where I sanded or I grated some old wood and mixed it up with Vaseline, and I put it in a I'm such a dork. I put it in a toothpaste tube, and so you just squeeze it out, and then that's like you can just light a fire right off of that, nice and easy. Plenty of wood to burn. I do have some wood set aside. However, I live next to a wooded area that, and I have multiple. So funny. If you told me 10 years ago, if you told me that I would have multiple chainsaws and solar panels and a fire starter squeezed into a toothpaste tube, I would have laughed at you. Extra blankets, you want that. I would also say get some cold weather sleeping bags, just to squirrel away in case you need it. That would be redundancy with the propane heaters I was talking about earlier. I even have, I went out and I bought these giant terracotta pots that would work in unison with a candle or sterno to like heat up an area of your house. I have little mini plug-in heaters for that kind of stuff. For a while, every time it stormed around my house, we would lose power. We lost power for like 5 days one time. So I'm always, worried about that. Number 26, of course, you want ammo. They skipped guns. You'd think that guns were up here. But they recommend ammo. I would recommend as much extra ammo as you can swing on your budget. And even if you don't have one, I think that I would recommend getting a box of 22 ammo. It's the most ubiquitous kind of round in the country, and you can always use them as barter items. I'll buy a bullet off you, and then he's going to turn around and shoot you with it. So, I mean, there is stuff. But, yeah, even if you don't have a 22, I would recommend having some 22 ammo. We have copious ammo for everything that we have. I'll just say it that way. And when I say copious, it's not enough. It's never enough. That's the flip side of trying to stockpile ammo. It's never enough. Extra fans if you live in a hot climate. So I've also, while I'm eyeing it up, I haven't pulled the trigger on them yet, but I found some battery operated rechargeable fans at Harbor Freight. So that's on my list. Hand sanitizer, check. Toilet paper, Jesus, everyone's learned that lesson, haven't they? Fucking toilet paper. Extra soap and shampoo, check. Those are all smart things to have. Extra toothpaste, right? Razors, you want enough razors to get you through a tight spot. And a lot of these things is like a dollar store find, right? Like you could buy like some cheap disposable plastic razors for $1.25. You could buy extra soap and extra shampoo right there for $1.25. So, every week or every 2 weeks, well, I should say every 2 weeks or every month, I zip through the dollar store and I buy a bunch of this crap just to put away. Bottles of bleach, you want to do that, but that needs to be on a rotating basis too. Bleach, from what I understand, doesn't last forever, long time. Battery operated radio, you can find them. Solar powered ones, amazing. Make sure they have the NOAA bands. Make sure you also have used it so you're not trying to figure it out on the day, right? That probably goes with a lot of this stuff. Extra batteries. At Harbor Freight, I can't remember where I got mine. The battery caddy or the battery daddy, keep it stocked at all times. It comes with a little charger, so if I'm bored just sitting there watching TV or something, like I'll just bust them out, make sure my batteries are all good and all of that stuff. Solar chargers, you want a little bank to charge your phone up if you need it. Again, we have that all covered. Trash bags. This is another dollar store thing. You know, you want trash bags. You want trash bags in your emergency toilet kit. You want trash bags in your kitchen box. You want trash bags, you know, everywhere. You just everywhere you can have them, you want them. Same thing with tarps. This is another Harbor Freight thing. Every time I swing by, I just pick up a tarp or two. Pocket knife, I would expand that and say you want multiple various sorts of knives in my battle box, you know, with my gear. You know, I got it can only be called like a fighting knife. It's a knife that's designed to kill people. And my camping stuff, I got a little camp knife. In all of my gear kits, you know, folding tactical knife, not necessarily, you know, to kill people, but just to do things. We haven't run into it yet, but I would also say to have a Leatherman or a multi-tool, multiple multi-tools, a hammer. Number 41 is an axe, shovel, work gloves. You want some work gloves. I would suggest all kinds of gloves. Like the mechanics gloves. I got hatch operator gloves, you know, just, you know, gardening glove. Like, you know, you just want to have enough of that kind of stuff. Lots of warm socks. Check. And then seeds for a garden. And this is like I have seeds and I try to garden every year. And with varying degree, I have to say that starting in 2020, COVID lockdown time, we started gardening in earnest. And that first year was the best year. And then I just suck at it. Like, I'm just not good at it. I don't know what it is. But I do have seeds. I have a whole seed kit. Heirloom seeds are important. You know, word around the campfire is, you know, when you stop and get seeds at Walmart or something, they're like GMO, and the seeds that they produce, when your vegetable plant starts, you know, yielding or whatever, those seeds turn out to be inert in some cases. You want to get the heirloom seeds. And they're pretty affordable. Like, you can snatch them up. They come in like a cool, you know, box, and, you know, figure out what you're gonna do with them. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do another one of these breaks. I gotta break it like ray gun. All right, we'll pick this list up here. We were talking about garden seeds for the garden. So I have them. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't use them. I can't use them right. Canning jars. So I do have a ton of canning jars. A couple years ago, probably like the second year of the garden, when I thought that it was going to be good, I bought like an obscene amount of jars and lids and collars and all of that stuff. And I would say, to go along with it, you want to pick up a pressure canner. In a pinch, you can water bathe them to can them. The pressure canner takes a long time, and it's more technical. Like, you have to know your elevation, you have to know, you know, how to use the weight on the little steam nipple. I don't know what else to call it. Fucking steam nipple. And that would be part of that redundancy plan. A third tier to that would be like to have a digital pressure canner, which is something I have my eye on as well. I'm not there yet. I'm only to the pressure canner. I'm always fucking shit scared that I'm gonna fucking explode my house like fucking Boston with the thing. Yeah, so jars. You want jars. Also, you can mix up a drink in them. Extra supplies for your pets. If you're stockpiling canned food for you, it's a good idea to have a canned food stockpile for your pets as well. Like I said, I got 3 cats. So give up a little bit of real estate to make sure my little kitties are taken care of. If there's a kind of problem number 48 here lists, it's very specific, a substantial emergency supply of cash. So this is one of those things that's difficult because of my budget and stuff, but I got it taken care of. I got some cash squirreled away, and then also for redundancy's sake, I have this guy that sells these, I don't even remember what they're called. They're Swiss combi bars of gold and silver, and they're called combi bars because they're like perforated. So it's like a card, right? But like these squares are like perforated in it in ounces, so you can just snap one off if you happen to need it. So there's that. So this would be the redundancy. You have the cash, then you have like these combi bars, gold and silver, and then, barter items would also like fit into there. So every time I go to the booze store, I buy a couple airplane bottles, like little airplane bottles. This would be, barter items. I'm not going to drink fucking watermelon vodka that I got for 99 cents. I'm not drinking that shit. Unless stuff's going real wrong. But other people might need it. Other people, might need it. I imagine if you're fighting withdrawals, you would drink the shitty watermelon vodka or whatever it is. But that's another thing that's on here, or it's not on here. Another thing that's not on this list is a booze stockpile. Ever since 2020, I am never under like at least a case of gin or gin and whiskey stashed here someplace. Like I'm never running out to the store because I'm in need. I'm always just going to the basement. I would say the same thing with my vape pen. Do what you can to squirrel some of that away as well. My wife uses the Juul e-cigarette thing, and they're very expensive. I'm trying to wrap my head around how to squirrel some of those away without breaking, the the bank. Yeah, so that cash, obviously, I think it probably goes without saying. However, I'll say it. You probably want, mid to small bills in an assortment. If you have any, silver dollars or anything like that, you want to keep all that stuff kind of in a nice and safe place. And this one seems weird. Number 49 seems weird, right? But this is something that we've talked about for a long time, and I'm starting to really sign on to this idea that, this isn't left and right. I guess you could say it's like normal people versus globalists, like whatever the fuck is going on right now, whatever war is being waged. I believe that there is a spiritual component to it, and we've been talking for years about, spiritual combat basically. So number 49 on this list is Bibles for every member of your family. I'm never very far away from my Bible. I don't know. I call it my trusty red letter when we do episodes, and I use it. I would almost, and I am going to. I'm going to get some just to have here. Maybe to give away. That's another thing I'm starting to think of, like, I could start putting stuff together for, neighbors and stuff that might not be able to get as prepped as I am. I mean, this is just shit. Like, it's like the slippery slope to preparedness. And then number 50 is one that everyone starts with. I feel like it's the bug out bag for every member of your family. I have mine's a little bit more built out. It's not really a bug out bag per se anymore. It's more of just like my gear. I keep it in the car. We go out for a hike. I pull it. Whatever. I pulled it when we went camping last weekend so I can like switch stuff out. I actually changed bags, had this and that and the other thing, and I didn't take that and this and whatever. So it's good to have. It's versatile if you have the time to switch it out. I have a much more basic, compact one in my wife's ride. I feel like everyone probably starts there, if not with the canned food, I would think. So you want to have a bug out bag. A couple years ago, I did a gear dump with my bug out bag, and that was like the first or second iteration of it. Like, it's not nearly as built out as it is now. But I mean, just Google search bug out bag. You'll find a list. I don't want to go through the whole fucking thing. You guys all probably have them already anyways. So, I don't want to spend too much more time talking about them. What's on the list or what's not on the list besides booze and pot that I feel like we need to talk about? Let me see here. Let me just reread this real quick. Well, I would say, it calls out ammo, doesn't call out guns. If this is not the time to invest in some protection, I don't know what you're waiting for. And then you could take that to the next logical step. I spent, some time and some energy and some money into like a plate carrier with like good plates and like battle belts and extra ammo and all of that shit too. So you'll know when the shit hits the fan, because I'll be wandering around my neighborhood with all this fucking gear on. I'll be flexing my gear, bro. That's LARPing. That's what they call it. So, yeah, hold on. All right, let's wrap this article up. There are some important points that I want to make about this list. First of all, this is not a comprehensive list. It's simply a starting point. I think we kind of nailed that home when we were talking about the different redundancies and stuff. Theoretically, you want to have like 3 kind of lines of redundancy. I think that's the way that I built my kind of plan. As as an example, the generator system. My collection of generators. Secondly, preparation is going to look different for everyone. Your unique circumstances will dictate what, quote, getting prepared, unquote, looks like for you. Thirdly, you will not need emergency food and supplies yet. You will not need them tomorrow. You will not need them next week. You will not need them next month. But the day is most certainly coming when you will need them. If you wait until then to get prepared, you will be out of luck. Getting sufficiently prepared for what is approaching takes an enormous amount of time, effort, energy, and I would say money, but it will be well worth it. We are moving into times of immense societal chaos. The election is going to tear our country apart. Vast numbers of people will die. The wars and the famine that are ahead of us It is just a matter of time before our next global pandemic strikes. And if you live long enough, you are going to get to witness cataclysmic natural disasters that are beyond anything that Hollywood has ever dreamed up. Right now, we are still only in the very early stages of this perfect storm, but I fully expect global events to start moving very, very rapidly in the coming months. So this guy's got a book called Chaos. I might try to find that. It seems like a good idea to read that. And he's got a Substack newsletter, michaelsnyder.substack.com. One of my challenges that I have, because of my wife's kind of psych meds, we can't get those. And, I don't know if you know this or not. I have blood pressure problems. So, we're looking at, Jace.com. Jace Case sells like prepackaged, I think it's like 5 different kind of antibiotics that you can just buy, and just have on hand, And I really need to get that, right? Because I'm like, I have surgical kits and staplers, and I need to get some antibiotics. But they also they just rolled out this thing where you can buy like year supply of maintenance medications. So that's also on my list there. So, I'm not complete. I fear that I will never be complete, but I feel like I do have a handle on it. So let me know what you think. Am I overreacting? Am I being paranoid? I don't know. What do you think? So I'd like just to remind you to go back and listen to some of those spiritual warfare episodes. We talked an awful lot about the political chaos coming up, about the economical problems that are coming. I just like, we did that whole series on the creature from Jekyll Island, which perfectly kind of predicted the inflation situation that we're finding ourselves in. And I think that shoe is still dropping. We haven't seen the worst part of what they've done to the economy. So I hope that you guys might have taken something away from this. If not, then just thanks for hanging out with me. I'm fearful. I'm fearful for everybody. And, if you're not looking at these situations, you're not doing anything to prepare, I hope you reconsider. And that's it. I don't want to keep babbling. I got through the article. We got our points. I editorialized a little bit. And now, my friends, it's time to part ways. See you next week.
Are you interested in the occult, history, conspiracy, and violence? Learn more at Abracast.com and visit the storefront for tarot cards, merch, and books. Support the show. Get access to the show archive at subscribestar.com. Thank you for listening to this episode. Send an email or visit us on social media to let us know what you think about this topic. And please remember to leave a 5-star rate and review.